Welcome to the ultimate D&D character building guide. So your DM or Dungeon Master looks at you and goes, Sven, Lars, Ellie, Maybelline, Clarkson, you've got to build the character. And you get this look on your face when he says this. That is why you are here. I'll break down to give you my version of a helpful way to build your very own player character. There are many ways to build one, but let's take a look at how to maybe start. I've broken this down to several sections in the video here, and let's start with this. So overall idea. Weapons. So if you don't know where to start, one way to start building your character could be like weapons. This is maybe an unconventional one, but let's say you've always fantasized of having a character that uses a sword or a bow or like a spear, things like that. Like if you have like a favorite, start by thinking about, okay, so now maybe the character could have that weapon. So which class would maybe most likely have that weapon? Let's say you say a sword. That is a kind of a universal banger. It's got like all the, all classes can typically wield this in short sword or long sword. They are very universal. If you say spear, now we're getting into some more technical territory. If you say bow, well, then you most likely will want to choose a ranger or someone that is more suitable to use a bow. You don't have to be a ranger, but this is where the inspiration can come from. Let's say weapons isn't enough. That's not enough to start you out. So your DM has most likely told you about the world. He's introduced you to the world. Some of the introduction could be telling you what type of people are here. Are they humanoid? Which races are there? Are they dwarven, elven? All these kinds of things. And essentially, if he instructs you that there's a substantial amount of people of, let's say, the human variety, then maybe a human character would do well for your character. Start there, maybe, potentially. Unless you really want to play an elf or something like that, something that fits into the world thematically. So that is another way to inform it from the DM's perspective. Like he tells you this world consists of these building blocks. Is the world laid out to be very foresty? Then elven or wood elves or rangers might be good selections. If it's mostly cities and mountains, then you can choose a race that would most normally habitate there, like dwarves or, but there's also something to be said about being creative and picking the odd choice out. Like maybe ask for an allowance to do, certain classes that you want to play a stone giant or something like that. You have to talk to your DM about is it possible to do this? Or Goliath or one of the other, big characters, things like that. If that's what you are headed towards, then you can use the choice of weapons and race, class, or race, we'll get to class later, but race, basically, you can use that to inform you what kind of class you may be looking for. What would be natural for this class to, use that weapon. Like to say you go with the human and you have picked a sword and you think a sword would be cool. I would like to use a sword. Then maybe, you could start with a human fighter. You could do all kinds of things with it. I'm here. I'm gonna give an actual concrete example later on here, but basically, you inform it by making choices, right? So you say okay, I'm gonna be a human. I feel more comfortable doing that. I'm starting out. I'm just gonna try. I'm gonna use something I understand. Use something I can emulate perfectly because I'm a human. I can play a human. So, it could also be. Now that's another thing. You could start out by saying I want to be a fighter. That's what I've always wanted to be. And then instead of that, you go from the opposite direction. You start by I am a fighter. What would my fighter look like? What would he do? Am I gonna multi-class him? There's things that comes down I would say like that's an advanced thing, and you don't have to worry about that the first time you play. I think you should play a straightforward character, someone that is very like basic and simple, and you understand it. It can also go into the deep and say like, I want to make my character as complicated as possible, but like you have to understand that with that comes more complex RP and things like that, and it may not be the best idea for the first character if you're building your first character. So here, you can pick a character based off of something that you have seen in real life. You want to be Naruto, you're right, like, or something like that. You want to be Sasuke. You want to be freaking I don't know, like the guy from Konosuba. You want to be like the Monkey King or whatever. Like you can stylize your character to be that way. Like you just have to be a little bit inventive. And I wouldn't say go full one-to-one. Maybe just edge it towards that, and maybe you can role play that if you really want to do that. Are you looking for a character that is more in tune with your feelings? Then you could, instead of going for like choosing something special racial wise, you can look at a human character, like a human race character, and then just say like, this is a very moody character, this is a very happy character, this is a strict, stern, whatever. And then it's more about their personality, more so about their race, so like that's something you can think about later on too. Like, what does my character feel like? Is he very happy? Is he dumb? Is he like really smart? Is he all these kinds of things, right? You can also use the racial features of each race to inform which character you're playing. Let's say you like the idea of having the halfling's features, the things that he can do, maybe a sub-race of halfling, like Lightfoot or whatever. The different like halflings have different features, and you can choose which one like appeals to you. So you start from maybe just reading the racial features of each race and going like, which thing here looks interesting to me? Like what will I want to take advantage of here on this character, and how will it fit into the rest of my overall character concept? Like, do I just want to do orc for, am I doing martial? If I'm doing a martial class, then maybe some of the more physical or, constitutional, well-endowed characters, you can use them to your benefit. Are you doing a more thinky, more dexterous, more charismatic class? You pick and choose pretty much from, they simplified it in the new D&D so that each race can really be this, like, everything, but they still have the racial features, which still, I feel like, informs what type of a character I'm leaning towards, right? So once you pick that, let's say you're picking from racial, that's one way of doing it, right? Then what does my character look like? Hair, eyes, skin color, all these things, they can be kind of like random or not really like that important to you. But then you can go and look at his clothing. Like, what is he wearing? You can think, like, is he wearing like a lot of leather? Is he wearing heavy armor? Is he wearing light armor? Like, which type of a feel are you going for? One thing I would like to say is, like, for color choice, like, you want to design your character and you want to like a mini or something made. A rule of thumb, I think, is like 3 to 4 colors. So pick like up to 3 to 4 colors. If you pick 3, then let's say 2 of them are the main colors, and the third one is the like sub color, or like just like ornament colors and tertiary colors, like colors that are not that substantial, but they are there in the design of the character. And the reason why you don't want to have like more than 3 or 4 is that it'll overall look a lot better if you keep it simple. So if you have 4 colors, you would have 3 main colors and 1 tertiary. If you have 3 colors, you have 2 main colors and 1 tertiary. So let's say for example, for the character we have in mind here, we pick 3 colors, and that's like green, brown, and like yellow. And then you want to not have like colors that are too opposite usually. So you want to pick like complementary colors. It could be like brown, green, yellow, or something like that. Like it could be red, purple, like I don't know, lavender, like like things like that. They could be mixed and matched, but like you can think about where those colors are in the character. Like how does that make your character look? What is he normally wearing? Like what is his style of dress? Is it like casual? Is it very classy? Is it like grimy street thug, like like all those kinds of things? And overall, is your character happy? Is he like he walks into a bar and he just yells, and screams and says hello to everybody? Is he energetic? Is he low energy? Is he, well, these things can change too, but like you can say overall, is your character someone that's energetic, or is he just really lacking energy and is tired and down in the dumps, or is he always like just always just going on about something, mumbling and moaning? Is he crazy, right? You could build a crazy character. For my purposes here, like I'm going for a bit of a more just simple design here. Like so far I'm going with like spear. I'm gonna go like fighter, and I'm gonna go like a mix of things, but I'll get into that later. So for characters, once you picked like all of these things, like you're getting somewhere, right? You can write a backstory that fits the world. It's good to include the world in your backstory. Like you make some kind of like, I'm not gonna talk about backstory too much, but like essentially there is the backstory that you can pick for the character, and then there's the backstory that you write for the DM so you can use it in his game. You can say like the backstory could inform the character even as well. Like let's say you pick like a soldier background. That already leads into like, oh, okay, if you pick the soldier background, then you're most likely a martial fighter. You're a martial type, right? If you picked a hermit or a sage or something like that, you're most likely a magic user or a wizard, something like that, a staff user, right? If you picked, I don't know, thug or thief or anything like that, you would maybe be a roguey character, right? Like a backstabbing, stealthy character. And finally, do you pick like the nature lover, rangy type? You could either be druid or like you could be a ranger. You could be just a traveler. Like for example, right? But your backstory could even tell you what character you're building towards. If you pick a certain backstory, then there are a lot of like usual ones, right? So let's say we pick like a hero background, like a local hero. You could be a fighter and people know you. Like you are in that area, right? They will know you. They recognize this person. So certain people will walk up to you and go like, hey, I remember you. You saved us from those trolls or whatever. I remember you. You fought off that little goblin that last week or whatever. Like, you could also be scorned by the public. You could be a rogue type guy that's like, oh, this guy, he's here. I hope he doesn't steal my purse, right? Or things like that. Like, people know you for being infamous. Things like that. With that said, like, when you pick your stats and skills, this is stats, skills, and feats. Kind of like, it's all like a symbiosis, right? Do you want to be good at using strength-based weaponry? Well, the fighter is an obvious choice. Are you going more for dexterous weapon, rapiers, short swords, daggers, And there's a mix of things here, right? You can, if you've already chosen your weapon, then all you need to do is look at what kind of feats and damage and attack rolls that weapon gets to certain stats and skills. And then maybe you want to make that your main skill because it's useful to do that. Or let's say you have a casting type character, like a charismatic character, then you choose a weapon that could be made into like a charismatic attacking weapon, for example, so that you get the bonus from the high stat you do already have. This is all advanced stuff, and you can always ask your DM again, like use your DM as a tool to understand what you're building. Like ask him, like what kind of a weapon would suit well for this, or what kind of a stat would I need to really, if you're unsure, always ask your DM about these things. It is his prerogative to answer you, but he really should, if he's a good DM. He should inform you that when you're building your character and you have questions for him, like you say, hey, I'm not sure what to do here, like it's what weapon would fit this class, like, and he should give you a good answer, you know, depending on like, you know, the way you ask him. As long as you give him like an informed question, like he should tell you like, hey, you should, you're a fighter, you should probably go with strength for that sword or whatever. And you know, like he will answer any questions if you really ask him. He should do that, even because his job is not to minimalize you or like bully you or try to kill you fast in the campaign. His job is to make you create the best character you can for the campaign that he's in. And I'm not saying min-maxing, I'm saying like it's just his job to help you build it. And then if you ask him, he will give you an answer, right? So with that said, there are things you could do like to use to improve like the character build that you have. You look at the feats selection, like if depending on how many levels you're getting at the start of the campaign, you will have to pick some feats, or you'll have to assign some stats and different stats. And some feats even give you stats. So, you know, you go through the feats, read them, and if it's overwhelming, again, you can always ask your DM to suggest a feat, or alternatively, you can use the feat to get stat points. If you're unaware of how to do it, just drop it into a stat that you feel comfortable with increasing, and that is how you really do it. Like you can also opt out of taking the stats in favor of getting a feat that gives not just stats but also basically more functionality to the character. Like, are you gonna choose a sword and board character? You know, a logical choice would be duelist as your style, fighting style, and like, you know, you can have things like that. You know, you pick the sword. Like, are you doing something with low damage? Like, you can focus on doing more criticals. Are you doing like a spear? Maybe you can focus on like the sentinel perk. I think it's called the sentinel one, where basically like when someone procs an opportunity attack, you will get to do an attack and things like that. So you do more damage overall. But yes, like feats and perks and skills, they should all be like symbiotic to the character. Like they should be, they will inform you what your play style is. They will inform you how you want to play, because you pick them. That means you pick your own play style basically, and that's how you would do it. Like, do you want to be a more ranged character? Then you have to have feats that support that kind of a playstyle, running away. Do you want to be up front? Then maybe you want more health and survivability. Do you want to maybe be a caster and be somewhere in the middle? And like, you know, with the warlock patrons, for example, so you can get Misty Step that can help you out. And it's like there's a lot of things to think about here, but you don't need to make it that complex on your first character. Really, just like really just delve into what you think you want to do, and then go with that. Like, and then you through experience in playing the game, you will find out that there's lots of ways that you can change your character, little tiny ways. Like even something as small as what do you pick from the starting choice of like tools and weaponry and rope and coins and all that stuff. It's like that's even relevant when you start the character. So, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming. So instead of focusing too much on the choices, focus more on making a choice. And that's like, if you feel stuck in one choice, move to another, and then, you know, iterate, come back and think about how you can overall build a character. And then I'll go into an example right about now. I think it's about time we go into more of like a practical example, so that that you guys can understand like how I would make some of these choices, or how they would be built into a single functional character pretty much. Alright, finally we've gotten to it. Finally we have the infinity gauntlet of all the things we're going to start talking about, and building the character for, you know, for finally to give you a practical example. So remember we started with weapons, you know, we started with spears. This is part of the character here. I have it on the orange gem here, you know, so that's part of it, you know, and our overall idea, the yellow stone. These gems aren't probably matching their original purpose in the Infinity Gauntlet, but that doesn't really matter. So basically, with this, I have some suggested feats here that are relevant to the build. You know, we'll come back and look at these, but these are the ones that I picked out that are optional. And it could be very relevant here in terms of what we're looking for, you know, like what we want the fighter to do. Here we have the fighter features. We'll go through these in a bit. This is the level up features as we go along, and I'll suggest some optional things here, because like there's new things that's come to light, you know. Things like stats and things like that. For the subclass here, so at level 3 fighter subclass, you gain a fighter subclass, and this is fighter subclass. Fighter subclass are these, and of all of these, for this particular build, I'm going for is, for the idea, the overall idea I have is, we're gonna go for champion, because normally, here's the thing, normally people would suggest battle master to you, and that's typically a really good choice. It's like the standard choice, kind of, you could say. In this case, because we have a weapon that is kind of low in damage, here I want to go for the improved critical, and, you know, with the added bonus of remarkable athlete here, it is not actually too bad. It's not too bad, and I will show you how to maybe kind of still get battle master a little bit. Not exactly, but we're kind of gonna get that, like a little bit here if we choose so, right? So let's have a look at fighting styles. So fighting styles, these are the fighting styles which you gain from the fighter. Level 1, you gain one, actually. You gain the fighting style, so like you can pick one here, and there are also like another fighting style unlocked later on, I guess. Technically, probably, I forget how that works, but anyways, fighting style, there is the option to pick a fighting style, right? And these are the options here for that. So like I scratch out the ones that aren't even relevant to our build because, well, one, we're not really going for a ranged build here. We're going for a spear user and kind of a like only single weapon user. So dueling here actually is the preferred choice for his sword and board, and for in this case it would be spear and board, but there's also the option for defense. That is also a decent option, which gives you more AC here. AC is not that important later on. It still is important, but it won't be as important as, I would say, like that one bonus AC will not matter because of our stat choices. So here we have protection, and protection is something that can impose disadvantage on other players if you're trying to be more of a protector, more of a defensive protector that goes around and keeps the party safe. And then we have blind fighting, which I'm saying here is situational because it's really only about darkness and how to fight in darkness. Very situational. It might happen, but in the case it happens, I guess. It's just not, I don't think it's worth worrying about. You can always remove yourself from the situation, or, you know, light the area. There's a lot of ways to combat this that you, as the fighter, does not necessarily have to tackle. It could be the rest of the party that can tackle this. So, that in mind, like, I'm kind of scratching out, you know, defense, interception. So here we come to the really interesting one. So because we didn't take Battle Master, there is the option to go Superior Technique here. So I'm leaning towards either taking Superior Technique because it kind of fits with the build, and we're not, and we're kind of like lessening the impact of choosing champion. So we're taking Superior Technique so that we can actually gain another superiority die here. You gain a superiority die, and then you can use it on special maneuvers. These are picked from the Battle Master special maneuvers. So, you know, you have Battle Master's maneuvers. Now we can talk about these. So these are the special maneuvers you can usually pick from. And if you use the Superior Technique fighting style, you will grant one maneuver to your character and a superiority dice to use if you're not using the Battle Master subclass, which we're not. So that means we can pick the quote-unquote strong choice here, which is menacing attack. So this is very strong. It frightens a creature for a turn, and that'll impose they won't be able to use advantage against you, which is really nice. And they're frightened. It's the frightened. They get the frightened status, which is kind of really dope. You know, that's pretty good. But it's either this or dueling, which would add slightly more damage. It could actually get us up to +2 damage here, which is not bad. It's not bad, I guess. But let's say we're going more for the critical aspect, and since we're an orc, we're gonna be an orc. I've chosen race as my idea here, the orc race as my idea here, and we're gonna go with champion for more criticals. You can see here, so we gain a fighting style, we gain second wind, we gain a weapon mastery, we gain an action surge, tactical mind at level 2. At level 3, we can choose our subclass, and for our subclass, that's champion. So, this is the choice for this current, you know. And level 4, so you have the option of choosing an ability score, and or you can choose a feat instead of that. So here, we're gonna go feats, and I've highlighted some of the feats that are somewhat useful here. So I think all these are really good, and I wanted to do Sentinel and things like that. But essentially, whenever I build a character, typically the first feat that you should choose, especially if you're a martial character, I think tough is one of those things where that actually helps you out by a lot. The more you level up, the more you gain HP. It's gonna keep you healthy and staying in the fight. You know, it is losing it's losing stats for hit points basically, or losing +1 or whatever. It's one of those things. But all of these, I'll say, during level up, these are really good suggested feats that you should have a look at. And I think especially Sentinel is really good for what we're building here. So I would prefer to use Sentinel as one of the feats that she takes on her level up, right? So you get an extra attack at 5, you get another feat here, so that could be Sentinel, it could be Piercer, Charger, you know, any of these. Like, there's different reasons for taking these. Shield Master, since we're going to be using a shield, it's very good. Inspiring Leader is pretty cool. You know, these are just, I feel like these are, Mage Slayer is really nice too. Like, since we're doing like a reactive thing, Mage Slayer and Sentinel are both similar things, and they're really, really nice for this build because, well, like you think you can cast near me? No, if you're within 5 feet, you can use your reaction to slam an attack on them. As long as you have a reaction, you can actually attack them. And if they then try to escape, you have Sentinel. So they can actually take, you know, a bunch of damage. They can take a bunch of damage when they are around you or try to leave your presence, basically. With menacing attack from our from our Battlemaster maneuver, this can also be used to make them really, really weak and you know, susceptible to getting pounced on and just attacked and killed. So yeah, with all that, it's like all this kind of, it goes together, you know. You have the thrown ability on the spear, so you have ranged ability to a certain extent. I think versatile and sap here. If these are, I don't know if they're still in the game or not, if they're still active, but like, you have to look at the particular D&D version you're playing. But yeah, so versatile, if it's still active, it means you could switch up your spear to be two-handed, and it increases its damage rating if you need that extra damage for kill. You'd have to take the time to like put your, either drop your sword on the ground. I guess you can maybe just let go from this shield and let it drop, and then just like attack with your versatile. There's the sap here, which gives disadvantage. If these are all still relevant, this is from D&D Beyond, but like, I don't know if it's still relevant though. But basically, these feats, when you level up, right, for every level up, you get a subclass feature. Various subclasses. Subclass feature. I forget what subclass feature is here, but yeah. It basically, these are things you get when you level up, right? Another ability score improvement. You can either increase your dexterity and or get another pick from this list, basically. And I think if we're going for tough and Shield Master, Sentinel, that's your 3 choices, right? Or you could do Charger or Piercer, you know, like, you can choose to do it like these are just really good things, perks that I think are, or feats that are relevant. I keep calling them perks, but perks and feats, that's exactly the same thing basically. But as you level up and gain more you know, feats, and you feel like you've gained enough feats from the fighter potentially, right? Then what you can consider doing is going into the monk class, and there's a reason for that, because you can gain the ability to use dexterity better, and there's a lot of things that you can do with that, and also potentially you could go into the barbarian subclass as well, because I think again monk can be a little bit confusing, but if you don't get a lot of monk levels, maybe it'll be okay. You know, you just have to understand that like there are just certain things, and for level 1 barbarian, I think you get something that is pretty useful as well, like rage and stuff like that, right? So let's see, Dnd features. So you have barbarian level 1. I think you gain something pretty significant. Let's see. Right. So if you're doing strength checks and stuff like that, the rage will add bonus to that, bonus damage to damage your rolls if you're using strength. Then you get resistance, right? This is pretty useful to resist some more damage on the battlefield. So just taking this one level of barbarian is actually giving you some options here, you know. That is kind of nice. So 1 monk, 1 barbarian, and you know the monk gains the let's see here. So you have the monk. They gain, what was it? Martial arts, right? So with that, they can do dexterous attacks, which this is gonna be really good for the character. Like you have a monk level for this, and you know the 1 level in barbarian, so they can do the rage. So basically, this is like I'm trying to pick and choose from different things. You could stick to all fighter and go more strength, but I'm thinking of a character that goes heavy into dexterity here with the spears. So he's basically a dex user, a dex spear user, and that's what I'm thinking. Like with this, like so with the 1 level of monk, the 1 level of barbarian, and if we look at maybe you're here at level 8, that would make it level 10 before you get all this settled. And this is like we don't have to go that deep into it. Just say that like maybe you won't even survive past level 10, or if you do survive, like you will have understood the character to such an extent that this should be no big deal when you get these options, and you can actually again, you know, ask your dungeon master how to proceed if you're not sure what to do about subclass features and all that stuff, you know. Like you can ask him for sure, like monk. So these are, again, you have these feats to choose from. These are all really good for your character, and in overall, if you're continuing on the fighter, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to 7 here, right? If you're fully going fighter, but you will have to reduce maybe you can maybe get 6 then instead. But like basically that's the difference. So you can have up to a total of 6 of these, and you can say, oh, I want this and that, whatever. You pick up to 6 of these. It's almost all of them, right? Except for like 5 of them. So it's at least half here, right? So, and you can pick the ones that you think really works well with the character. Like that's what I would do, is, you know, going towards that. And as we have our this is just about throwing, and you can see how you can use dexterity to do it when you have the monk class, basically, right? So that's why you can go with a relatively low strength. Like you might want, I forget if one of these requires strength. They do not seem to require that much strength, so you can keep your strength relatively low if you want, until you get the ability. Like you want to rely a little bit on your strength in the beginning, and then you can switch to dexterity with the monk class, and then you can really heavily invest into dexterity as your main stat, which is also going to increase your armor class significantly, at least by a certain amount, right? So, but when all said and done, you picked, let's say we picked purple, we picked yellow, we picked another color. You can use AI now today to look at how to create, a character design that fits for you. Like maybe maybe you could use these directly, or you could choose to, send this to an artist and say like, I want more D&D based art of this character, or you could draw it yourself from these suggestions. But this is just how would they look like, maybe with a chainmail, a spear, a shield in combat, how would they look like fierce like this, This is a really good image here. I kind of like this a lot, actually, so just writing in a prompt into this random AI image generator, you can get some really, they won't be perfect, they won't be, but they will be something you can work from. If you're an artist, you can definitely take inspiration from this. If you're like a noob like me at art, you could use this directly, or if you can send it to someone that can do a commission and then like actually make the real proper D&D art for you if you need a token, right? Like if you need an actual image token. And I'm going to show you what's the alternative here. The alternative is something like Hero Forge, in which you can actually fully create a character that you have envisioned with everything, and this is your character already here. We'll give her a name, like her name will be like Abrilif Clanless or something like that, and that'll be something that fits her backstory and things like that. You can go into really very detailed edits here, like on the little thing. There's grass and stuff, and like she may not look exactly like you want her to look like, but you can actually change all these things by doing edits to the different colors. You can do edits like that, right? You can say eye here. Then you can go and say, I want something different, a different eye color. Let's say I want blue or something, and that it'll actually change the eye color to that, right? Like there's so many things you can do with this. Like there's a crazy amount of details that you can apply to the character, and then it's not just on the eye layer by itself. It's also by heterochromia even. But basically, there's a lot you can do with this. You can look at it from different angles. You can adjust the poses of the character, things like that. I really like this as like in terms of like, you can really make your character shine in terms of if you wanted a token, because they're a little bit expensive, I feel like, but you can have this made and then like sent to you, and then it'll look exactly like that, painted or unpainted or whatever their pricing plan is. But you can then buy it, like, and you can switch colors. You go onto themes, for example. You don't know exactly what color set you want, you can literally just pick and choose from color sets here as well. If you're unsure about the amount of color, like it changes the feel of the character, completely different feel to them. and when you're done, you order the mini the way you want it, right? So you can really, the sky's the limit here, in terms of creativity, and I'm not sponsored by Hero Forge. I need to say this. I'm just giving you like an idea of if you were like looking for minis, if you're doing games, you're a dungeon master, etc. Making these, they may be costly, but also they will look incredible on the field, only for you to have them killed a session later, right? So, so that is, yeah, that's really funny. But like, basically, yeah, you can definitely do a lot with this. Like, there are species galore here. They add more stuff. I feel like I don't think I've seen all these different things, different races, frog people. So in a single click, you have turned it into a frog person. But I think they're called a Grun or something like that. But basically, you know, this is a really good option. And when you have the art here, you can build it from that art. Like, you can make the token like that. So I hope you've enjoyed this. I've tried to make this as clear and concise and short as possible. It may not cover everything. This is only showing you just an approach to the fighter and the background story and that kind of stuff. It's like you have to come up with that on your own based off of, you know, the story, the module you're playing. How do you connect all of this? But think of it all as a symbiotic process. They all connect to each other. They all mean something. Like, even, let's say, the spear on the character here could be something that's relevant from you could have found that somewhere, gotten it as a present from a lord. You know, it could be your father's spear that you took from the battlefield after he died. There's a lot of things that you can use this to build lore with. The dual spear, dual shield build. Unfortunately, you can't actually do this in D&D. Like, you can't do spear and shield on the same turn to block and attack. That's not possible. But yeah, it is really cool to see this, like how we went from, okay, maybe just a weapon to now we have a fully fledged character build here, ability clanless, let's call her that, something like that. Or you can come up with your own name for whatever character you design, you know, like, this is merely just like a suggestion on how to get to an end result, you know, how to build your character throughout, like, some small choices that eventually leads you the way, you know. There's alignment as well. Like, is your character good or evil? Is he neutral? Is he somewhere in between? Or is he in somewhere in between? But yeah, this has been the ultimate starter build guide for D&D, and I'm StealthMoustache, and I hope that you have a good time playing D&D. I really suggest you play some, and I suggest you have fun with your friends. Because the idea is to have fun. Don't bog it down in like rules, lawyering, and just blaming people for decisions and things like that. Try to have fun with your friends. Just let them do stupid, silly stuff, and let them pick up the powerful magic, whatever. You know, whatever fits your boat. Just, there it is, you know. And you can always gain plenty of more results here if you're using an AI generator. You can always get a bunch more results just to see the difference in the character designs, just to see what it comes up with. So you always have some kind of an idea here that you can go from. They may not all be bangers, but like, if you generate enough of them, you know, you will get some results that you will find will be super, super cool. So this is it for now. I think signing out the video is probably long now, and so enjoy DDO or D&D or whatever it is.